February 12th, 1933. I tried to broach the subject with Hans. I suggested he should obey father. Learning a craft at the factory is his one chance to do something constructive with his life. He is so gifted and takes so much pleasure in making automatons. He did look like he wasn't listening to me, but I know he'll think about it. He'll think about what I said. February 20th. It's not that Hans cannot speak. It's rather that he doesn't want to speak. He uses the least possible words for communication, except with me, but he is still very economical with words. May 15th. Incredible! Hans was not just satisfied with learning how the assembly line works. Instead, he has completely redesigned it. Father and Monsieur Grips are taking a serious look at his plans. July 10th. Father has wanted to talk to me about my future since I passed my exams. He wants to send me to university because he says my intelligence is astounding. My heart was beating so loud. It is true I do love studying, but I couldn't bear to be away from Hans. September the 2nd. What a ghastly summer. I have been permanently torn between my desire to go to university and my refusal to leave my brother. I talked about it with Hans, but he said nothing. That same evening, I found my own little mammoth broken. October the 9th. Hans had another fit of hysterics at dinner again. Father announced that Hans's new assembly line would soon be finished. However, they have removed the automaton parrots that shout orders, as they were deemed superfluous. Hans was livid. He hurled his soup dish to the ground and stormed off to his bedroom. What will happen between the both of them when I'm not here? October the 17th. Despite my scruples, I am finally leaving. Hans has not talked to me for a week. Father would not understand if I told him why I wanted to stay. My heart is so heavy. Christmas. It is so strange to be home. I had never left home for such a long time before. Once we were alone, Hans did not stop talking. Words just leapt from his mouth. How he laughed at his excitement. He presented me with a delightful little ballerina to replace the mammoth, he told me. I was so touched that I started crying. Distance has done nothing to harm the strong bond between us. September 10th, 1937. It is strange to pick up this diary once more. At first my impulse was to tear it up, but I resisted and, instead, succumbed to my second desire, which was to write for a while. I am alone in my attic once more. I have been home for 2 months now, and after a summer spent living with the intense joy of being reunited with my brother, Hans has returned to the factory. Father has aged so, and Gertrude's arthritis causes her terrible pain. September 13th. All in all, these last 4 years have been kind to Father and Hans. Their relationship is less tense. They still do not exchange much conversation, but now they have a thing in common, the factory. I'm even beginning to feel a bit jealous. Silly, really. September 17th. Hans hasn't changed. To help Gertrude, he has designed a totally automated kitchen. And Gertrude can't stop moaning at the wooden puppets. Oh, how I adore them. October the 9th. I went to go and see Father and Hans at work. I hadn't been to the factory for ages. It is strange how much it has changed. I was very curious to see them set about their tasks. I like Father's new office very much. Hans has a small workshop on the first floor, crammed with odds and ends, unfinished robots, and designs, exactly as I imagined it, in fact. October the 15th. The factory is working very well. Orders for toys keep coming in, spurred on by the run-up to Christmas. When I was at university and I said my name was Vorarlberg, people would ask me if I had any relation to the Valadiland factory. Now I know the effect that Hans's genius has on the factory's renown. November the 2nd. To make myself useful, I started helping Father set his papers in order. The most extraordinary thing of all is that for the first time ever, I have the impression that the 3 of us form a real family. December the 8th. Hans never ceases to surprise me. Between home and the factory, his behavior is so very different. In his workshop, he is serious, concentrated, a proper young man who keeps his eye on everything going on, constantly on the move and in control. One has the impression that each single toy is his very own infant. At home he turns back into a child once more, and is either moody or a happy-go-lucky buffoon. Christmas. The most wonderful Christmas of my whole life. Hans and I could not stop giggling like children beneath Father's disapproving glare. I know that he was only pretending, really. Our hearts are still full of hope. January 5th, 1938. Hans came to me in my bedroom yesterday evening. I felt terribly awkward, terribly ill at ease. I might have guessed. Hans wants to leave. Leave Valladolid, the house and the factory. He wants to go traveling. He doesn't know where to or for how long. That's just like him. I was so shocked that I told him his plans were foolish. He left my room without a word, his head bowed. And more little clippings of plants. January the 7th. I thought that he wanted to leave because of Father. Not at all. It's because of the mammoths. He wants to go tracking mammoths. I thought he had gotten over his obsession. I know my brother only too well. I wouldn't dream of telling him his quest is useless. It isn't worth it. He would not listen to reason. January 10th, 1938. I was so selfish the other evening. I returned to talk to Hans and asked him gently if he was sure of his decision. I already know what the reply is going to be. Nothing will make him change his mind. January 19th. Despite my profound sadness and despair, I must help Hans fulfill the destiny he has chosen, and announce the news to Father. I fear the worst. January 24th. The worst was worse than my fears. Father's anger was terrifying. He shut Hans away in his workshop at the factory and has forbidden all visits except from Gertrude, who feeds him. February the 1st. Father has decided that Hans should remain locked up for as long as it takes him to abandon his infantile decision. Gertrude tells me that Hans is very despondent, yet highly resolute. The worry is driving me mad. February the 6th. As soon as Gertrude returns from the factory, I hasten to get news of my little brother. He doesn't say anything. He just fiddles with bits and pieces. She replies every day with a sigh. I have tried desperately to reason with Father, but I know I am just wasting my breath. February 9th. Hans is 18 years old today, and he is all on his own for his birthday. February 20th. In secret, Gertrude delivered to me a small robot from Hans. It's a robot of us as children. It works with a small cylinder punched with tiny holes. I quivered with emotion as I turned the key. The message it gave was simple. He was telling me he loved me very much. February the 21st. Gertrude gave me a different tiny cylinder for today's toy. Hans is truly incredible. He has found the means of communicating between us and us alone in total secret. February 27th. My days are spent eagerly awaiting Hans's messages. He has now resolved to run away. He is preparing his escape, like if it was a game. Having a little trouble reading some of the words there. More cutouts of plants. I wish I knew what type they were. March the 6th. Gertrude has returned and she is beside herself. Hans has disappeared. Father has not even deigned to return to the workshop where he locked up his son, nor find out how he managed to escape. He just gave me a black look as if he knew we were up to something behind his back. March 7th. It is beginning to dawn on me that Hans has gone. I miss him so much. Lord, please protect my little brother and watch over him for me. March 11th. With Hans gone, Father now locks himself away night and day at the factory. The house is so gloomy now. And we should be able to wrap up the diary in the next part.